I don't have prepared remarks because I don't know how you prepare for something like what we just saw in the legislature today. We saw this government, instead of finding a negotiated path towards a settlement that respects teachers, students, and their families, we saw a government bully. We saw a government use the legislature to ram through what they feel is a fair settlement and then use the notwithstanding clause to prohibit the rights of teachers. And this is a broader conversation for all Albertans. If they're willing to do this for teachers around collective bargaining, for our schools, for our students, for the people who work with them, then they're willing to do it for everybody in this province. And that's not hyperbole. What you saw in there today was a travesty of our legislature. It's a travesty to our democracy. They're ramming through this bill in one evening so that they can put forward what they want to see. But they are not willing to have any further speculation around how to address the issues. And of course, the bill just came out, so we've not had time to actually read and see the specifics of it, to see just exactly what this bill will entitle. It'll take us some time to further analyze this, and then we'll announce our next steps after that.
Is there anything you can legally do? Like, I'm assuming you're talking to lawyers.
Well, yeah, we've been talking to lawyers for various different scenarios of what could potentially happen. The government did not have to do this today. The government did not have to legislate settlement. They could have negotiated. They could have listened to teachers. And so we'll further analyze what our legal options are. And I know that we will move forward in a way that supports teachers, supports students. And I'll tell you right now, if they think by what they have done here today is going to quiet down the tens of thousands of voices of teachers across this province, then they're sorely mistaken.
I was going to ask, what do you think this does for the long-standing relationship that you have with the province now? Is there irreparable damage been done?
Well, it's funny that you use the word irreparable, because it's something that the Premier used, and she's not even in the House. She's not even there for the vote. She has left. She wasn't even in the legislature when this happened. She ran away. She went elsewhere. So yeah, this is going to have some definite difficulties with our relationship moving forward, because teachers feel like they're not being heard. And we need to find a way, obviously, at some point to repair that, but today just might not be that day.
There's this class size and complexity task force that's being put together now that was alluded to. We learned about it in the embargoed proceedings, where they're asking you now to participate in this process, saying that, well, now that the wages are sorted out, they can go forward and resolve some of these issues. What do you think the ATA's willingness and teachers' willingness will be to participate in this process?
I don't want to participate. I want to be a partner in this task force. I don't want to be asked to come to the table to give opinions, because quite honestly, I have done that time and time again. My colleagues have done this time and time again, have told them what is wrong within our schools. I don't want to be a participant at a task force. I want to be a full partner with the ability to give influence as to what the task force will do moving forward.
And they're part of the deal, or the thing they're imposing is they're saying they're going to hire these 3,000 teachers and 1,500 EAs. You've said before that that's not enough. Why do you still maintain that perspective it's not enough, and why?
Well, I also think it's interesting that they've conflated the $8.6 billion to build new schools into this deal as well. We know that 3,000 teachers is a drop in the bucket for what we need in this system. We put together as an association a calculator that you can look at that tells you if we were funded at the national average, we would actually need 2,600 teachers in Calgary alone in order to meet the national average in terms of funding. So we know that this is not the start that they think it is. And I'll also put forward as well that this is government's job to hire people. As we've seen, as they said, 91,000 students into the system since 2023. They should have been hiring teachers to accommodate for that amount of students in the system, and they didn't.
The Minister of Education says the funding formula is not the problem here. What do you think about that?
Well, I would disagree wholeheartedly, and I think that if they think that the funding model is not the problem, then they're not paying attention. And I wouldn't be surprised because they don't pay attention to the fact that we've been the least funded for so long that it has left us in this crisis that we see right now. We have overcrowded classrooms. We have students learning in book rooms, in hallways, in libraries that should be used for library purposes. We have classes that are in the 40s. We don't have resources for students with special needs. And our kids are falling through the cracks every single day. And to turn around and say, well, it's not the funding, well, then I don't think you have a real grasp on reality of what schools are really like in parts of this province.
The common.
One thing I'm curious to hear your thoughts about is there's no real signs that the government's going to back down on using the notwithstanding clause like what happened in 1998, meaning Alberta Teachers essentially would be the first group in Alberta's history that this would ever be done to use the notwithstanding clause, and I'm just kind of wondering what the gravity of that feels like.
I'm sad. This is a sad day for teachers. This is a sad day for Albertans. To have a government that is willing to trample on your charter rights for their own purposes is a sad thing for this government to do. They should be ashamed of themselves, and they're not. They're going to move forward with this. They're going to use it again. They've said it in mandate letters on anti-trans legislation, and they're going to keep doing it. We're on a slippery slope in this province when this is the way that the government treats teachers who are working with kids in this province. They're working with the future of this province. And my colleagues have to go back to school this week and say to our students, this is the way the government treats the citizens of this province. People in this province should be livid today.
What do you think about the $500 fines per day per teacher, $5,000 fine per day for the association for violating the order?
Well, it's a bully tactic, right? If you don't want to do what the government is saying, well, we're going to charge you. We're going to fine you for that. We're going to fine the association. We're going to fine locals to do all of that. It's bullying techniques that we see time and time again, and it should be unacceptable to everybody in this province.
The Common Front has talked about Wednesday announcing what measures it's going to take to support you. What is that feeling right now of support you're getting from other unions across the province and maybe across the country?
It's extraordinary. My colleagues who are in other unions, other presidents, not just in Alberta, as you said, across Canada, have shown their support for the work that Alberta teachers are doing, for the strike that teachers are on. Teachers have not walked out of their classrooms. Teachers have stood up for their students and for their classrooms. And other unions have recognized that. They also recognize the weight of this moment today. The fact that if they're going to use the notwithstanding clause on the teachers union, the Teachers Association, they will use it again on others.
What do you think this is going to do to the teacher workforce, considering this agreement goes from September 1st, 2024 all the way till 2028? You've already talked about how precarious the situation is in terms of teacher burnout. So what do you anticipate will happen in the next years?
I think we'll see more teachers leave the system. Right? We're in a crisis here in public education in Alberta, and the government fails to recognize that they are the ones who caused this by chronically underfunding the system. And we are going to get further and further behind. Students in Alberta are going to suffer. Teachers who are great teachers that are working their butts off day in and day out to do the best for those kids are going to leave this profession. And this government has nobody to blame but themselves.
The minister and the premier say that they had to use a notwithstanding clause because of local bargaining. But this also, then you're not allowed to local bargain until 2028. It's going to be in place until then. I'm wondering what you think about that, and also whether you believe, though, that this is a unique situation that merits the use of the notwithstanding clause that wouldn't necessarily apply to other public sector unions.
It's the fact that they think that using the notwithstanding clause to prevent local bargaining is ridiculous. It's infringing on our charter rights for association and to be able to bargain. So they just don't want to have another strike. That could potentially happen at the local level, because we almost had 6 happen the last time we did local bargaining, because school boards were not willing to listen to teachers about the things that they needed. It's kicking the can down the road. It's avoidance. It's the things that we see all the time from governments who do not want to deal with the messes that they made.
What does no local bargaining mean, though, until 2028?
Well, it means that there's provisions. So when you look at our central table bargaining, we have what we call as a list of all matters. And I know this is fairly technical, but we determine what is bargained centrally and what is bargained locally. So things like substitute teacher issues, there's other issues around there that are important for our members. And they need to be able to bargain those with their school board so that they can see a more contextualized local improvement to their collective agreements. Not being allowed to do that, there's certain issues out there. For instance, when substitute teachers start, if they were to get benefits, those things need to be looked at, and it just kicks it down the road.
Do you foresee wildcats?
I can't make that decision right now because the bill's just come down. What our next steps will be determined by Provincial Executive Council, who is the governing body of the association. We've not had a chance to sit down and look at all of this, and so we'll make our next steps after that.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everyone.